Hello and welcome to coverage of round number 7 here at Grand Prix Minneapolis. I'm Maria Bartholdi, joined by Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa here in the booth. Shota Yasooka is one of our featured players this round. One of the best to play the game, currently sitting at 5-1.
Yeah.
Katsutaka Kobayashi is opponent.
Yeah, and Shota, not only one of the best players in history, also one of the fastest.
Oh,
I think if you've ever watched him play.
It's almost unbelievable sometimes how quickly he can make decisions.
Yeah, and he's very, very nonchalant about everything,
Yeah.
which I think is very interesting. I remember we were playing Worlds one point. I think it was the first new World Championship. It was 16 people. And then they were interviewing everybody, like, the day before the tournament.
Yeah.
And they asked Shota, hey, Shota, who do you think is the opponent you most fear? Who do you least want to play against? And his reply was, I don't know who else is in the tournament. It's a 16-player tournament with all the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And, you prepared for it. And he's like, I just really don't care who is playing, He is like that.
Like he'll make a decision on a deck like a day before or something like that and just show up and be like, well, I got this.
It takes a remarkable amount of confidence to be that way.
I watched him play red deck at last year's World Cup, and he normally plays control, which he's known for, but I saw him playing that red deck just the fastest I've ever seen anybody play Magic in my natural life. Couldn't really believe it. Well, he's up against a green-blue deck here in round number 7. Reclamation Sage dealt with one of his creatures, that Sky Scanner, Bristling Boar in play, as well as that Dryad Green Seeker on Kobayashi's side of the battlefield. Love that little Groot. Turned out to be great in this format, but Shota's got himself a pretty good rare as well in the form of Leonin War Leader, which can turn into an army with just one attack.
Yeah, it definitely can. And that card is one card that it's actually a little bit worse than I thought it would be.
Okay.
Because it just looks so great, and we're comparing it to Hero of Bladehold, which is the previous iteration of it, which was actually an amazing card, both in Constructed and in Limited. But the fact that your 1/1 cat tokens have to attack, they're already attacking, makes them so easy to block. So it's not like the card is bad. Obviously, it's a great card. It's a good rare. You take it over any common for sure. But it's not the bomb that it looks like.
So it looks like Shota is going to play the Angel of Dawn first here to pump this cat up into a 5/5.
Yeah, it looks like the 1/1s will actually get through this time around.
All right, so we are going to net a couple of cat tokens, but double block there sends Leonin War Leader to the bin for Shota Yasooka. Dryad Green Seeker still in play for Kobayashi.
Yeah, the Grand Wind Seeker will probably not be used right now. I'm just going to block those cat tokens.
Snapping Drake for Katsutaka. 3/2 flyer. Good amount of power in the air, matches up at least well enough to block and trade with the Angel of the Dawn, which is one of my favorite cards. But how about this? Our Flying Siege Rhino, Vampire Sovereign, hits the table for Yasooka.
Siege Vampire, definitely very, very powerful.
Yasooka will gain 3 life. Kobayashi will lose 3. And he gets a 3/4 flyer out of the deal.
Yeah, and there are not that many ways for a blue-green deck to deal with a creature like that. Even Rabid Bite, which is the green removal spell, is not going to kill it in this situation. Though it can now, after Kobayashi untaps. Untaps.
Horizon Scholar is the play here. We get to scry 2. It looks like we're leaving both on top, potentially. Oh, we're still deciding. 1 top, 1 bottom. And this is just an all-out, star in a core set limited environment.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that last turn Shota didn't want to attack with Angel of the Dawn and trade for Snapping Drake. That to me signifies that he has a reason for keeping that body around. I think he could have, Spark Charge, he could have something like Alina, an equipment of some sort, because I think normally you would want to trade that at this point.
Why do you say that?
So that you can attack with your Vampire Sovereign and not get it double blocked by a potential other flyer. Though it could also just be trying to draw a removal spell of some sort. So it really depends on the concept of his deck, but it's a play that I think he would have made in some other situations.
Vampire Sovereign gets into the red zone, knocking Kobayashi down to 12. Two-headed Zombie, the follow-up play here, 4/2 with Menace.
Yeah, and here we see that Shota attacked a 3-4 into a 4-4.
Right.
And wasn't blocked, but he did not attack the 3-3 into the 4-4.
What is going on?
He doesn't have something like Mighty Leap, probably. What he could have is the -1/-1 card. What is it called? The Nightmare's Thirst?
Nightmare's Thirst, yep.
Nightmare's Thirst. That could make sense. But at the same time, if he had Nightmare's Thirst in hand, would he not have waited with that Vampire Sovereign to just kill something for sure the following turn? So it's a pretty complicated situation here.
Meanwhile, Kobayashi here able to attack in for 7. Shota's at a great life total, so Kazutaka is able to just swing on it, and he takes it, and here's a dwindle to shrink down the Vampire Sovereign.
Yeah, and Kobayashi just attacking with his flyer, and he will take, damage from Shota's creature this turn, so he thinks he wants to race, basically. Because he could easily have sat back with the Snapping Drake if he wanted.
When do you put yourself in that? How do you know that a race is something that would be favorable to you?
I mean, you don't really know, but usually when you have something that you believe swings it, in this case, like Shota was at 25 and he was at 12. So, like, if you think, do I want to trade damage here? The answer is usually no. So you have to have something like, a Novrun, a Rider's Charge, a Glorious Charge, something like that. Trumpet Blast. Those are the cards that, lead to you racing more, especially when your opponent has 2 life linkers.
Right.
That doesn't, it doesn't look particularly likely that you can race, and they can even block with the Vampire Sovereign. Like it still has that ability.
So we've got a Dryad Greenseeker going down on that double block there from the 2-headed zombie. Omen Speaker also jumped in front, but survived the fray. Here's a Militia Bugler for Yasooka. Skymarch Bloodletter was the reveal.
Yeah, and it's especially hard to race against those black-white decks because they have so many incidental drain effects, like the Bloodletter or Vampire Neonate or Vampire Sovereign, life linkers like Child of Night, even the cat tokens. So it's not generally a position you want to put yourself in, racing those decks with so much incidental life gain. So I'm really curious what prompted it. And now Shota did gain 2 life, so if he does have Nightmare's Thirst, he can cast it for 3 and kill the Snapping Drake. Though there's always a chance he would have cast it on the Dry Greenseeker as to not let his zombie die.
Well, we're just going to play the Bloodletter here, drain Kobayashi for 1. And that is Yasooka's turn. Passes back. Looks like he's put together a nice little black-white life gain deck.
Yeah, his deck looks pretty good. It's a bunch of powerful cards. Like the Bugler is very powerful, Vampire Sovereign. The War Leader is pretty good.
Meteor Golem here for Kobayashi takes care of that Angel of the Dawn. One of your favorite cards in the set.
Yeah, definitely. It's a card that, you always play in sealed. You're pretty happy about it. But at the same time, it isn't like, oh, my opponent had Meteor Golem and I couldn't win.
Right.
It's not like a 10-time flyer or something.
So only an attack with the Snapping Drake this turn for Kobayashi.
Yeah, that is just very aggressive by him. Someone who's down 21-6.
Militia Bugler is the lone attacker for Yasooka this turn. All right, so Skeleton Archer is going to finish off the Meteor Golem that blocked, and this is a play you see all the time in M19.
Yeah, and that is probably why the Vampire Sovereign attacked into the Horizon Scrawler. It could be Skeleton Archer, it could be Plague Mare,
sure,
but not necessarily a pump effect.
Beware the Skeleton Archer if your opponent makes a funny attack.
Yeah, it is a tough situation for Kobayashi here because he can't really take the damage. He could block with Horizon Squaller, but then if Shota has something like a Mighty Leap, that's much worse. But at the same time, if it was a Mighty Leap, would Shota not have attacked with more things? Perhaps he would, perhaps he wouldn't, but maybe previous turns would have played out differently.
Do you ever make attacks based on what you want your opponent to think that you have in hand?
Yes, for sure. Wow, that's brutal.
Whew. Abnormal endurance here from Yasooka.
Yeah, that's devastating. That is so much better than a combat trick. It will not only kill the creature, but also bring back the Vampire Sovereign, drain 3 life again, and it will be unenchanted.
Wow.
Because it will die because of Dwindle.
This is so much value here.
Well, it doesn't actually kill the creature, because I believe.
We're at least going to bring it back here for the other drain effect.
Yeah, it won't actually kill the Snapping Drake, but just coming back is pretty good.
Colossal Dreadmaw, the follow-up from Kobayashi, 6/6 Trampler. Welcome back, Colossal Dreadmaw. We like to see you in every set.
Yeah, welcome back. It's not like you ever laughed.
You've got to leave so we can miss you, buddy. Yasooka tapping out some math here on the table as Kobayashi is currently at 3 life. Yasooka sitting there at a comfortable 21. Does he want to attack with multiple flyers or the team just to get through more damage here?
Well, if he has nothing, then probably not. I mean, all that will end up...
Yeah.
I mean, he does have lethal. Wait, there's only 1 flyer, so 2 damage are going to go in the air. Well, actually, he just has lethal, isn't it? Am I missing something? I really... Because the 3/4 flyer will be blocked by the 4/4 flyer. And then... so that means 2 damage are getting through in the air.
Yep.
And then the other 2 are should be blocked. So he has to be considering Disperse. Is basically, like, can I beat Disperse?
Sure.
Is... Like, do I have to run into Disperse? What's the chance my opponent actually has Disperse?
They always have it, right, Paulo?
They do tend to always have it, but...
Disperse far less likely to be run than something like an Essence Scatter, probably. All right, so we are seeing the all-out swing here from Yasooka. A couple of cat tokens, 2 flyers, and the Skeleton Archer.
The thing is that even if Disperse does exist, it's not like it's that devastating for Yasooka. He doesn't lose the game on the spot to Disperse.
No.
He'll probably just bounce the cat token, and he'll go to 1 life, and he'll lose 3 of his creatures, but he can stim with the game. Yeah, I think that was right by him.
Kobayashi there scoops him up. Shota Yasooka taking down game number 1 here in this match. Both players currently at 5-1. This is the win and in show, meaning that if these players win, they are locked for day 2 here at Grand Prix Minneapolis, when they will come back and draft while our players shuffle up and think about sideboarding for game number 2. Let's take a look at some fact or fiction. All right, Paulo, fact or fiction, what could be better than an 0-5 Defender on turn 2? A 19th land, filing tax returns, back pain, just to name 3.
I'm going to go with fact. I think, Wall of Mist is not a very good card in this sealed format. I don't think it's even very good in draft, because a lot of the things, like, this is like, what decks are you playing against? So you're either playing against a deck with big green creatures, in which case it's not that great. Like, it does block boars, but it's not fantastic. Or you're playing against a deck with flyers, in which case it's not that great either.
Yeah.
Or you're playing against, a white-red go-white deck, in which case you actually want to trade for their creatures so that when they have Trumpet Blast in their later turns, their creature's not out there anymore. So just bouncing the creatures, bouncing a 2/2 into a Wall of Mist is not actually what you want against a deck like that. You want to lower their numbers. So it's not really good against anybody. It is a card that you will play, especially if you have good late game and you just need to survive until you get your patient rebuilding or your dragons.
Sure.
But it's not a card I'm ever really happy to play.
So what would this card need to have for you to be more likely to play it? Flying?
Yeah, I was going to say rich, but I guess flying is better.
Yeah.
Or I can have, what is it called? The Bant Dragon?
Oh, yeah.
Or I can have Arcades.
Arcades, the strategist.
Arcades, the strategist, yeah. That works too. That's really good with Arcades.
All right, let's take a look at another fact or fiction. Fact or fiction, Death Baron. This promises so much and delivers so little, as we'll probably see on Sunday.
Oh, I think fiction here.
Really?
Yeah, I think it promises a lot, and it's really, really good with certain cards. You're not going to see a zombie deck or skeleton deck in the sense that you have 5 zombies or skeletons being pumped by this at the same time. That's just not going to work. But it gives all the zombies and skeletons death touch, which is very important. Cards like Skeleton Archer, it just becomes
kill something.
It becomes a 4-mana meteor golem. That's a 4/4. And reassembling skeleton. How do you attack through someone who has Death Baron and reassembling skeleton? You just can't.
You just can't.
So if you're a red deck or a black deck, you can deal with it. But what if you are a white deck? Then what are you supposed to do? You can't Luminous Bonds it. That doesn't really help you. You can't dwindle it if you're a blue deck. So I think that card is quite good. In the right deck, of course. But
yeah, I played against it yesterday at a draft here on site, and I completely forgot that it gave them Death Touch.
But that's the only thing it does?
Whoops. Oh, well, +1/+1. Oresco Swiftclaw, the first play of the game number 2 here for Shota Yasooka. It's going to be able to get in for 3, followed up with a Sigiled Sword of Valoran, which is an excellent piece of equipment.
Yeah, it's really, really excellent against people who are discarding to hand size.
Ooh, yeah, especially there. So sad news for Kobayashi, who has to discard a Salvager of Secrets there, and Yasooka hitting all of his land drops so far. This could be a quick one.
Yeah, it will, but this is just so much damage. He's going to attack for 7 now.
Ugh.
And next turn he's going to attack for 9. Well, he doesn't even have to do it. But if he's not doing it, he has something else to play.
Yeah, Fell Spectre here adding insult to injury. Kobayashi will have to discard and then lose 2 life.
Yeah, I guess the only thing worse than discarding to hand size is discarding to hand size and losing 2 in the process.
Oh.
Though it will be a couple of turns before that happens.
Painful. Fell Spectre is an interesting card on its face. Ooh, Reclamation Sage. Hold the phone. Takes down the Sigiled Sword of Valor in there.
Hold the phone.
Have you never heard that?
No.
I knew I was going to end up saying something that you were like, what are you talking about? Hold the phone. Yeah, like, wait.
I was expecting, like, hold your horses or something.
Yeah.
Hold the phone.
Hold
I never
the
heard
phone.
that.
Yeah, I don't really know why people say that.
I guess I only read books where phones don't exist. Like fantasy books and stuff like that. So no one says hold your phone.
Hold the magical speaking orb. Yeah. No. Somebody tell me where that comes from. I don't actually know. It is kind of bizarre.
Wow, and if we just had a snapshot of the game on turn 4, I would think that for sure Shota Yasooka is going to win. Now, it looks like Kobayashi, has
a chance. It has a chance.
It's not a big one. That's
no.
For sure, but it does exist.
Yeah, we're able to dwindle this Vampire Sovereign from Shota Yasooka. Fell Spectre in play, 2-headed zombie and a Oresco Swiftclaw, but a Reclamation Sage dealing with that Sword of Valerian was pretty important, pretty clutch there for Kobayashi. Elvish Rejuvenator here is going to be able to find him another land too.
Yeah, it's interesting that we did not see the Oresco Swiftclaw attack the previous turn. I believe that is because Shota has Lich's Caress, so he can actually stop a double block. But if he didn't have that, I think he would have attacked with the 3-1 to make sure his zombie got through.
Okay, here comes a big attack from Shota. 3 creatures hitting the red zone, and an Inspired Charge from Shota will wrap things up. 2-0 over Katsutaka Kobayashi here in round number 7. So that is lock on day 2 for Shota. Going to see him back here drafting tomorrow. Very nice, aggressive life gain black-white deck.
Yeah, his deck did look pretty good.
It kind of felt like a draft deck in some ways. I mean, these are the cards you'd want to put in your life gain black-white synergy deck.
Yeah, he didn't even have this much synergy with the life gain itself, but he just had a bunch of good cards, removal creatures that were powerful, and it just worked. And his opponent, discarding to hand size didn't hurt, but...
Yeah, and Sigil Sword of Valerian is one of my favorite equipments because you just get Vigilance, put it on. Sometimes there's a cost to attacking, like tapping your creatures, but no, not so with that sword.
Vigilance is the part you love. Okay.
Yeah.
In that equipment.
All right, we'll have more Magic from round 7 coming up in just a minute. Minneapolis, Maria Bertholdi and Paulo Vito Damaderosa here covering round 7, and we have time walk magic for you. By the way, we figured out what hold the phone means.
Oh, we did?
Yes, okay, so it comes from the day when reporters would have to phone in their stories to newspapers because they were out covering them at a big event, and something new and exciting would happen, and they would say, hold the phone, as in hold the phone line, I'm going to go find out what just happened, and then come back and tell you more.
Okay.
So there you go.
I see.
The more you know. Here we go. Let's go down to time walk. Mike Siegrist and Bradley Yu. Again, both of these players at 5-1, so a win here secures them for day 2 at this tournament when we'll come back and draft. That 19 next to Siegrist's name, indicating he is the 19th ranked player in the world right now. Rogue's gloves for Bradley Yu.
Yeah, that'll go up once we win the Pro Tour next week.
Oh, is he your teammate?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sky Scanner here for Mike Siegrist. Draw a card, put a 1/1 flyer into play. Fountain of Renewal.
I like
for
how
Bradley
you phrased that. Draw a card, put a 1/1 flyer into play. I see where your mind's at, what part of the card you like the most.
Right? Yeah, I'm always just like, gotta hit my next land drop. Come on, Sky Scanner. Be there. So we've definitely got some artifact synergies going on, I would imagine, in Bradley Yu's deck here with these two artifacts that aren't, super inherently powerful on their own.
Yeah, we've certainly got a bunch of artifacts this game, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. This is mono artifacts out right now. Arcane Encyclopedia in play for Mike Siegrist.
Where's Karn?
Yeah. So we could expect to see something, like a skilled animator maybe. How about just a Hieromancer's Cage to take care of that encyclopedia?
Yeah, and the Fountain of Renewal is going to do a good job at preventing the life from the Skyscanner and the life lost, that is.
Onakai Ogre here for Mike Siegrist, a 4/2 for 3 mana. Maybe an Aerial Engineer in Bradley Yu's deck.
Yeah, that would be great right now.
How about Snapping Drake?
That's worse, but, you'll take it. What can you do?
You can see that dice on top of Bradley Yu's library, too, reminding him to gain a life from the Fountain of Renewal.
Yeah, that is pretty useful a lot of the time, especially when you have cards like Pact, Summoner's Pact. Then if you don't pay, you just lose the game, so you better put a reminder out there. But for life gain, every upkeep, I do find it a little bit tedious myself to have to remove the die, gain 1 life, and,
You just remember, you're good. You're just that good.
Well, it's a price you pay. Like, you're like, sure, I'll forget once in 8 rounds, but I won't have to do it every single turn. I'm fine with that.
You'll take that tax.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't matter when I forget,
Yeah.
Also, I've seen people put that and just forget, too. Just like,
That's
what is
true.
this?
That's
and just
true.
throw a die away. And just like, well,
what did I put this on here for? Oops. Attack in with the Ogre and the Sky Scanner there for Mike Siegrist.
Yeah, interesting spot here because, I think, if Siegrist does have some sort of combat trick, he would rather just leave his Skyscanner on defense so that Bradley Yu doesn't draw a card out of that Rogue's Gloves. So he probably has something here.
Cavalry Drillmaster hits the table for you, and there, in fact, is Strangling Spores. That's a pretty nice moment to have it, too.
Yeah, and this range spot, I cannot see the cards in Mike Siegrist's hand, but he could have just played Strangling Spores and then attacked.
Sure.
So which kind of indicates that he has something. In this case, I probably bet is just the Goblin.
Volley Veteran here.
Yeah, the Volley Veteran. But it is interesting. Like, if you don't think your opponent is going to block most of the time, you can make that attack even though you don't have a combat trick. Because then if they do block, well, you just play your Strangling Spores.
Sure.
But if they don't block, then you sell them on the idea that you had a combat trick. Because clearly they know you could have just played Strangling Spores, you just played it. So the fact that they attack first and risked you blocking is an indication that you have a combat trick. So it's actually a pretty interesting play that does come up from time to time.
Whew, cleansing Nova here from Bradley Yu.
Hold the phone.
Hold the phone.
Did I do that correctly?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Hold all of the horses and the phones. Cleansing Nova cleans up the board. Nicely, though, keeping artifacts and enchantments for Bradley Yu. But Mike Siegrist had a few cards in hand and was able to deploy 2 new threats, Doom Dissenter and Brawl Bash Ogre, 2 cards that go very well together.
Yeah, pretty good rebuying there from Mike Siegrist. Just a lot of power in play even after this Wrath attack.
And that is a danger of Wrath effects in Limited like this, giving your opponent the first chance to play creatures after you've cleared up the board. Doesn't diminish their power, but...
Yeah, for sure. You're still going to play Wrath attacks, but I feel like they used to be a little bit better.
Why?
Than they were.
There are just fewer creatures around?
It was mostly that you could just afford to let your opponent overextend. That cards weren't as powerful, so they would play a 1-1. Then next turn they would play a 2-2.
Okay.
Then they attack and play a 1-4. So you can just do nothing for a very long time and have they play 4 or 5 creatures, and then you play the Wrath attack. But if you do that nowadays, you end up at 2 life when that happens. And, God forbid they have a way of countering your Wrath attack, which won't happen in Black-Red. But...
Yeah,
I feel like it's much more dangerous to try to set up for a Wrath. You just have to play your 2-drop to trade with their 3-drop. Because otherwise, it's an Rescue Swiftclaw. What are you going to do? Take 15? And so I think they got a little bit worse as time progressed.
Brawl Bash Ogre bashes in for 5, thanks to the sacrifice of that Doom Dissenter there, leaving behind a zombie creature token, and Macabre Waltz from Mike Siegrist is going to get back the Volley Veteran and the Sky Scanner. So pretty nice stuff there.
Yeah, I love Macabre Waltz.
It's so good, right? Because in core set, your removal spells are premium, right? Because you want to deal with their bombs. And so you wait, you spend them very carefully, and you're like, okay, I finally got that creature dead. Well, guess what? It's coming right back at a cost of 2 mana.
And it's bringing a buddy, too.
Yeah.
Usually. And, lands are not that useful in the late game.
Did you see this respect here? Strangling Spores taking down Rustwing Falcon, who is wearing these Rogue's Gloves.
Yeah, I believe the gloves are the more important part.
Of that equation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No. Resplendent Angel hits the table for Bradley Yu, equips the gloves. Wow.
Oh, well.
I mean...
Nothing Mike could have done.
Except not kill a 1-2.
Well, you see, the Falcon was really important.
Bradley Yu at 8 life, so this Resplendent Angel even more important than it normally is. To pull him back from the brink, Siegrist still at 20.
Yeah, Siegrist does get to attack with both his creatures because he has a Volley Veteran. So that means the zombie token can't be blocked, or the Volley Veteran will just finish off the Angel. So Siegrist will get to deal 5, potentially 7 if he chooses to sacrifice the Sky Scanner.
Well, 1 mana short here. And Bradley Yu, by the way, does know about that Volley Veteran in hand because that was something that was bought back with Macabre Waltz.
Yeah, Siegrist is just going to play the Volley Veteran here and try... Oh, he found up... Okay. Oh, that's really good because now he has to block with Sky Scanner and sacrifice it for Harpy. So there will be no life gained for Bradley.
Wow, excellent stuff here for Siegrist. That sacrifice absolutely key versus this Resplendent Angel.
Yeah, short of an actual removal spell for the Angel, that was the best card he could have drawn.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Just stops the Angel dead.
Bradley Yu falling to 3 life after that attack there. Siegrist untouched, still at 20.
So Bradley here needs some sort of Luminous Bonds or Disperse. And otherwise, he's just going to be dead to combat.
It's just an Oresco Swiftclaw, and he just has to pass the turn back.
Yes, I believe... Yeah, that is just lethal by a lot.
The Volley Veteran able to ping down the Oresco Swiftclaw, and there it is. Mike Siegrist takes down game number 1 versus Bradley Yu here in round 7. And right away into game number 2, thanks to Time Walk Magic here.
Yeah, so we don't get to see what I'm sure was a long process of sideboarding into a green deck.
Oh, wow. Okay. Drew to the Cowl. If we're going green, we're going green. Here we go, 2-drop. And a Skyscanner on turn 3 for Siegrist. How highly do you pick Skyscanner in draft? Am I taking it too highly?
I don't think it that highly.
Okay.
Like, if you compare it to Skittering Surveyor, which is, the
Right.
previous incarnation of it, that was actually a first pickable card because the format had better artifact synergies and you really needed the mana fixing. It had better use for the body. So it was overall just better. Skyscanner is a card that, is good, but is not great. There aren't that many good artifact synergies. There are not that many good sacrifice effects, or some. The 1/1 body is, I think, worse than the 1/2 body was. So I think it's a card that I'm fine playing. I'll play it almost every time, basically every time, but I'm not picking it very highly.
Okay. Thornhide Wolves enters play for Bradley Yu, assisted with that Druid of the Cowl there, to get up to 5 mana. And a Vinemare is the follow-up play.
Oh, wow, the Thornhide Wolves didn't attack. It was probably fearing a double block, which I'm not sure would have happened because Siegrist might just be afraid of any combat trick.
Right.
And I'm also not sure Bradley would have actually minded it, especially
why not?
With a Vinemare in play. Well, he would
Yeah.
still trade for both creatures.
Exactly.
And he would have a Vinemare, and Siegrist is playing a red-black deck, so there's definitely a chance he can't block it very well. Well, now he could, but getting rid of one of the few red creatures that actually blocks the Vinemare doesn't seem that bad to me. Though obviously it depends on your hand, what are you gonna do in the following turns. But I think I would have attacked there with the Thornhide Wolves.
2 Anake Ogres in play for Mike Siegrist, holding down the fort on the ground.
It is also interesting that Mike Siegrist actually probably would have double blocked because he didn't attack with the Skyscanner.
Right.
So if you don't attack, you're implying that you'll double block. But at the same time, it could just be something to discourage your opponent from attacking. Because if you don't attack, then they might not attack back. Whereas if you do attack, then they will attack back for sure, regardless of whether they have it or not. So it might be worth the 1 point of damage. I don't think you can necessarily read from Siegrist's play that he was going to double block just because he didn't attack. It could just be a discovery, disencouraging maneuver.
Right. Trusty Pack Beast has nothing to return from the graveyard for Bradley Yu.
Yeah.
Siegebreaker Giant hits the table for Mike Siegrist, so creatures just keep getting bigger on his side of the table. 6/3.
Yeah, he has a lot of power in play.
Yeah, he certainly
that's for
does.
Sure.
Where's Sarkhan's Unsealing?
Yeah. I wonder if he has that.
I mean, these cards kind of make me think that he does. These 4/2s for 3 aren't something that you are always super happy to play.
Yeah, I think they're usually good enough.
Okay. Ooh, declared dominance here from Bradley Yu.
Okay.
Will require everybody to get in front of that Vinemare.
Yeah,
And
that will just kill everything.
that just sweeps the board. Wow. Clearing things up here is Bradley Yu after that declared dominance.
I wonder if it was better to just use it on the Wolves and then keep the Vinemare, but also have your opponent keep the Skyscanner because you're doing 1 fewer damage. It was pretty good as it was, but yeah, here we see the Vinemare is such a more powerful card than the Wolves, which is funny because it costs less. But even then, you'd much rather, especially against Black Rat, which is a deck that can just have a million removal spells. Like we saw a Vinemare beat someone who was holding 3 removal spells in their hand earlier in round 3.
So we saw Bradley use Cleansing Nova last game. This game, we'll make a green version of it.
Oh yeah, that is true. It's Plague Wind.
Both his creatures hitting the red zone here. Mike Siegrist will have to rebuild, and there is Doom to center and a pass back. I see a Shock in hand for Siegrist. Couple of other cards.
Not so great right now.
No.
And it says there's no Sarkhan Unsealing for Siegrist. There is a Banefire. That is one of the better cards in the set. Like, I've seen people call Banefire the best card in the set.
Do you think that's true?
I don't think so. I think the cards that, really win you the game from a lot of different spots, like the Planeswalkers, like a Johnny, Thazaret, patient rebuilding. I think they're better than Banefire. Banefire is obviously a very good card. Sometimes it just wins you the game. Sometimes it kills a creature. Like, its worst mode is killing a creature.
Right.
Which is obviously great. But I think, if it's turn 4, then you'd much, much rather have a Johnny versus a Banefire.
Druid of the Cowl is the only creature left in play for Bradley Yu after a combination of removal spells took care of that trusty pack beast which was wearing an Oaken form. So we had to do a little bit of work there on Siegrist's side of the battlefield, but we were able to clear things up once again, and now we've got an Arcane Encyclopedia in play too, so we can start drawing cards.
Yeah, and you know what would have been really good with that Oaken form?
What?
Divine Mare.
Yeah, yes it would have. Cleansing Nova here on the artifact mode to get rid of the encyclopedia. I like it.
Yeah, you have to, right?
Yeah, I mean...
That card would just take over the game if you don't do it.
Absolutely.
Drawing 2 cards a turn is really powerful. And 3 mana is not even that much.
No. That card could probably cost 4, and people would still be like, yeah, I'm playing this.
Yeah.
Macabre Waltz here for Mike Siegrist. Gets back Sky Scanner. Gets back Siegebreaker Giant. So we've survived 2 separate types of Wrath effects here, and we're still rebuilding. Giant hits the table.
And he's in a pretty good spot here, Mike Siegrist. Like, unless Bradley can come up with something huge. Oh, that kind of counts as something huge. It's not literally huge.
No.
But it does draw a bunch of cards, and Bradley will have a lot of time because he's on 20, and Siggy has a 1/1.
Luminous Bonds locks down the giant Arcane Encyclopedia of his own for Bradley Yu. Here comes back the Sky Scanner to...
Yeah, the giant can still use its ability. So
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's the good part.
Bradley Yu sitting at a cool 20, Siegrist on 9 life.
Yeah, Siegrist could have used the ability to attack for 2 with the zombie, but then he would have taken 1 from the druid, and this is a spot in which he seems to not want to trade 2 for 1, which I'm not sure I agree with entirely, because the game is not getting better for him as time passes. So it's possible he has a use for his mana too. But I think, assuming he has nothing to play, I would have just used the ability and attacked for 2. Because then, once your opponent does attack with the 1/3, you don't even have to spend mana the next turn. It's already tapped. So I think I would just attack here.
Elvish Rejuvenator for Bradley Yu will find a land.
Yeah, there is an Electrify in Mike Siegrist's hand, so this could be a reason to keep the 4 mana up.
Okay.
In case Bradley does play a creature that makes him want to do it.
So things under control, at least for the most part, on Siegrist's side of the table here. Arcane Encyclopedia, though, helping Bradley get an extra card every single turn.
Yeah, and that, that card
here we go. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is the best one.
And it is definitely going to... Oh, I spoke too soon. Electrify was going to take it down, but Titanic Growth saved it.
Yeah, and this is really a 1-turn thing, right? You have 1 turn to get rid of that thing or you're dead. Because if you couldn't get rid of it first, then you certainly can't get rid of it plus the angel that it makes. So unless Siegrist finds a way to, either kill that thing or sacrifice his Sky Scanner, which will buy him 1 turn, then he's just in a very bad spot. And the cool thing about Arcane Encyclopedia is that, well, at first, maybe it's a cost to pay 3 mana, but the more you use it, the more lands you're going to draw.
Right.
So at some point, it just becomes free. Like, at this point in time, it's just free to use the encyclopedia every turn.
Yeah, we still have a whole mess of mana after we've spent 3 to read our book here for Bradley Yu. And
that's funny. This is a time walk match, and then Mike Siegrist is just watching here behind me.
Hi, Mike.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Resplendent Angel here hitting the red zone for Bradley Yu. And we're going to gain some life, too. Enough mana to gain life and draw a card? Ooh, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, not bad. 5/5 flying lifelinker, make a 4/4. Vigilance, too?
Yeah, Mike Siegrist drops down to 4.
Oh, that's a card that he kind of won in the previous turn, where he could just block with Sky Scanner and sacrifice it.
So that's Dark Dweller Oracle there. A 2/2 for 2 for Siegrist. You can pay 1 and sacrifice a creature to exile the top card of your library and play it.
That's insane. He gets to steal it and then sacrifice it?
Is that what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Active treason!
Now the interesting question is, does he want to steal the Resplendent Angel or the Angel token?
Oh.
Because he can do it with either, and he has to block either with the Skyscanner on his turn. And since he gets to sack the Skyscanner for the Dwellers, then his opponent is not going to gain any life. But so he's probably thinking, I have, Strangling Spores in my deck.
Right.
So maybe I just need to steal this 4/4, and which is what he's going to do. The issue here, of course, is that if Siegrist blocks, his opponent doesn't actually have to commit to pumping the Angel. His opponent can just pass it, and then this Skyscanner will die anyway. So in a spot like this, yeah, I think I agree with his play, assuming he has ways of killing a 3/3 but not a 4/4. But they also kind of rely on his opponent tapping out, not leaving this 5-mana back.
All right, so we're going to sacrifice this Angel to the Brawl Bash Ogre here.
Well, Siegrist could have just attacked with the Angel and then sacrifice it to the Dweller. Right?
Yeah.
So he could have just dealt 2 more damage and hidden an extra card, which would potentially be a land or a 1-mana card he could play like a Shock. So the fact that he didn't makes me think he probably has something.
All right, Skyscanner of its own for Bradley Yu.
Yeah, and here I think the fact that Siegrist did steal the Angel, the 4/4 Angel rather than the 3/3,
it's pretty telling.
Makes me think that Bradley should not tap his mana. I think Bradley should just attack here. And especially now, if Bradley attacks, Siegrist doesn't even have to block because he's not threatening 5 damage. He's only threatening 3 damage.
Dwarven Priest gains him some life, though.
Oh, that works too.
Boop, I get an Angel.
Yeah, that's the second part of the ability. Okay, never mind. I like that. I take it back. You shouldn't tap out unless you're making a 4/4 in the process. Then that works.
There's more than one way.
Yeah, that is true.
To make a 4/4 here. Have you heard that American expression? There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Oh, of course, there's more than one way to make a 4/4. No, I've never heard it. But I also have never heard there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Oh, really?
So
okay, there you go. There's another one for you. There's Strangling Spores. Excellent. We're going to take care of that Resplendent Angel there. Okay. That card's gone.
Yeah, this is very interesting because the Angel could still have attacked. And it didn't. That was probably because, Bradley was afraid of something like a Sure Strike, which would be an explanation for Siegrist not having tapped that land. So a lot of interesting plays here in this game that don't necessarily mean anything, but could if you're trying to really find a deep meaning to them.
Oaken form here on the Skyscanner for Bradley Yu. We'll pump it up, give it +3/+3.
Yeah, here there's a chance Siegrist might have had to pay a land to sack a creature to try to find a Shock, but
yeah.
I don't even know if he has a Shock.
Well, Siegrist certainly put up a very good fight there in game number 2. That was some cool stuff to see. A lot of fun with sacrificing creatures. But Bradley Yu is going to take that one, tying things up here at 1 game apiece. In round number 7 here at Grand Prix Minneapolis. As we work towards the end of day number 1, think about day number 2. Whoever wins this match will be a lock for day 2, coming back to enjoy some M19 draft tomorrow. And we are underway here for game number 3 between Mike Siegrist and Bradley Yu. Both players currently sitting at 1 loss here in the tournament. Red-black deck for Mike Siegrist. Some really neat sacrifice stuff going on in it. We've got Ravenous Harpy. We've got Brawl Bash Ogre. Active Treason, these kinds of things. Dark Dweller Oracle.
Yeah, I love Dark Dweller Oracle. It's a very, very good card, I think.
What do you think about the cost, though? You've got to build your deck correctly in order to be able to sacrifice a creature and have it be okay.
Well, that's the thing. You don't even necessarily have to. You can just play like a Goblin Instigator in the late game that turns into 2 cards. That's really good for a 2-drop.
Wow, Sarkin Fireblood here for Mike Siegrist. And
yeah,
Tormenting Voice, it's so flavorful. So this is our little mini 3-mana Sarkhan here.
Yeah. I don't think Siegrist actually has any dragons, which is unfortunate, but the card's still pretty good even without that. Especially if you're into play, you can play it on an empty board, so you guarantee that it's going to live for a while. And obviously, if it ever ultimates, you win the game. I mean, you make insane. 4/5/5. Though his opponent does have Cleansing Nova, so that is the one card in the format that does beat a Sarkhan ultimate.
So he's going to protect Sarkhan here with a Strangling Spores on that trusty Pack Beast from Bradley Yu. Gallant Cavalry is going to add a couple of creatures to the board for you. Sarkhan's Plus lets you rummage. A nice little red ability there to help shape Siegrist's hand. Can also +1 to add 2 mana in any combination. Of course, you can only use that to spend dragon spells. To cast dragon spells, excuse me. And like you said, the ultimate is at -7. Create 4 5/5 red dragon creature tokens with fly.
Yeah, 4 is a lot.
Sarkhan loves his dragons. He had to be in a set with a bunch of Elder Dragons. It just makes sense.
Yeah, that is true.
An Aki Ogre here for Mike Siegrist, 4/2 for 3. 2 mana still available. Back over to Bradley Yu.
Yeah, and the 4/2 doesn't really match up that well against the multiple 2/2s. But, the longer this game goes, the better it is for Mike Siegrist. Obviously, he has a Planeswalker in play. That is usually the case. But
both of these knights attacking Sarkhan here. And Planeswalkers in Limited, besides just being good and accruing you advantage in multiple ways, are often lightning rods too. So that's, if Sarkhan wasn't here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Siegrist was at 2 life, he would probably just be trying to kill Sarkhan here too. People just really want to get rid of the Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't care about you anymore. It's a non-Earth thing. I'm not going to let this Planeswalker there.
Thornhide Wolves, though, a pretty big threat from Bradley Yu on the table. We'll see if Siegrist can deal with it here. Sarkhan is at 5.
Oh, Sarkhan is just going to die.
No, Sarkhan, no.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't be too sad. He probably has gotten
we can.
some value off of it. Yes, I would like to see some flying dragons, too. I would like to see an ultimate. Goodbye, Sarkhan.
Yeah, that's a shame. Siegrist could have prolonged his Sarkhan's life with Electrify on the knight, but the cost of that is so huge.
Yeah.
First, you electrify a bad card, right? A 2/2. You don't want to do that. And then that's also the opportunity cost of not even playing, let alone using the Encyclopedia this turn. So I think I agree with his play. Don't get too attached to your Planeswalker, and it's going to die, whatever.
Starcrown Stag joins the team for Bradley Yu. An excellent 3/3 for 4. Taps down a blocker when it attacks. I love this card in every format that it's in. Get those blockers out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, for someone whose favorite keyword is unblockable,
Yep.
I'd see why you would.
Yeah, Siegrist here. I also see a Shock in hand. Looks to be considering activating this Encyclopedia. Electrify finds a good target.
Yeah, I just figures he's not going to draw anything better than Electrify to play this turn anyway.
And our life total's still pretty healthy.
Yeah, we're in an interesting spot where, Bradley has the better board, especially if he adds to the board this turn. And he will have a lot of power in play. But Mike has the Encyclopedia. He has a bunch of... Wow, that's...
Oof, Oakenform.
But there's a Shock. So, is there a Titanic Growth?
There's the Shock. Ah, 2 for 1.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with this play. I guess you could.
I mean...
If you put it on the walls, you guarantee that you're getting an attack in, but also if your opponent has, Lich's Caress, you just lose your best creature and your Oakenform. So you kind of have to, pick your poison there. I think what he did was fine, especially given that there is a natural opportunity cost to playing that Shock, which is not activated in Encyclopedia that turn. So the Oakenform wasn't actually a 2 for 1 for Mike Siegrist.
Sure.
It was a 2 for 2.
Right.
Because the top card didn't get drawn. So I think that's a fine play, and it's much better if Mike Siegrist does not have Shock. So I actually like the play.
Strangling Spores on a Johnny's Pridemate here. It's good. Thornhide Wolves get in for an attack for 4. Hieromancer's Cage will take care of that Encyclopedia. Bradley, you recognizing the advantage that gives to Siegrist over a long game.
Yeah, and we're in a spot where Siegrist really wants to draw spells and have his opponent draw lands here. He's already drawn plenty of lands.
Yes.
But also there's always the chance his opponent has 6 drops in hand, Colossal Dreadmaw. So it's kind of like either they're drawing the land to play their big cards or they're drawing spells, and you kind of don't want it to draw either, so why can't they draw tap land?
Druid of the Cowl was the play for Bradley. Mike here, I think, drew a land for the turn. And just has to pass the turn back over to you.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate for him.
Druid of the Call and the Thornhide Wolves get in, and there is Titanic Growth targeting the Wolves, and Mike Siegrist has to extend the hand, and that'll do it. Bradley Yu takes down this match versus Mike Siegrist 2-1. So Bradley Yu locked here for day number 2. Mike Siegrist can do it next round as well. And get there, before he wins the Pro Tour with your team, right, Paula?
Yeah, that's going to happen. In fact, it's better for us he doesn't day 2, so he can test some modern.
Yeah. You've got to still test. You got to get that stuff in there.
Yeah, I don't want to seem selfish. Really. It just seems like it's the best for everyone if he doesn't day 2 and goes test.
Oh, there they are behind us.
Oh,
Hi.
hello, people.
All right, we've got more Magic, more Time Walk for you. Let's head back down to the feature match area. Eric Froelich this time around versus Brett Kroger. Once again, both players at 5-1.
Oh, and that is a main deck plummet by Brett Kroger here, which is not a card you see in the main deck all the time. I think normally I only like main decking it if I don't have a lot of flyers myself, and I also don't have a lot of removal. So if I'm like black-green or green-white without a lot of removal, then I'm fine main decking plummet. But not generally a card I'm a fan of in sealed.
Elvish Rejuvenator here for Froelich. We'll go find a land. Yeah, I mean, like, if say you don't have you've only got a couple of removal spells or something, you might want to pack it. It'll usually find a target, right?
I don't think it necessarily will.
Okay.
No, and the thing is that those cards, they have a huge cost, right? The cost is sometimes they're in your hand and you can cast them. That's a huge cost for your removal spell. So what has to happen? They have to be really good when they are good. So if you're using a plummet to get rid of a Skymarsh Bloodladder, that is not worth how bad it is when it's not working. If you're using to get rid of a dragon, then yeah, that's worth it because, 1 out of 2 times it will do nothing, and 1 out of 2 times it will get rid of a dragon. And getting rid of half a dragon is good. But getting rid of half a Skymarsh Bloodladder isn't good. So even if you do find targets a lot of the time, I feel like you have to find good targets for it to be worth the times where it does nothing.
Brett here stuck on lands in game number 1. There he finds his 4th. But like you said, it is stuck in his hand right now because Froelich's just playing giant ground creature here in the form of Colossal Dreadmaw. We had a cancel on that Rocks Oracle, a.k.a. Pizza Rhino, so didn't get to draw a card, or he got a 4-2. But he does end up with a 6-6, so that is just fine, probably, from his estimation. And both creatures swinging in here for Froelich.
Wow, yeah, that could be like a Skeleton Archer. I don't think we're going to see a bump spell to get rid of the 2-2.
Yeah.
But Skeleton Archer is the most likely card. Or Plague Mare is also a card that you could see. Though his opponent did just pass with 4 mana untapped, including blue. So his opponent could just, play Bone to Ash on the Skeleton Archer.
Yep, there it is, Skeleton Archer.
Which would kind of have been like a beating, but... Oh, wow, the Splash Divination.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't condone that.
Really? Come on. Draw 2 cards.
But on turn 8, it's the exact same thing as the plummet, right? When you're splashing a card, you're paying a cost every time you don't have mana to play that card. Or every time you draw an island when you needed a second swamp. Like, this is a cost. So the card has to be really good. And Divination is not really good. It's just okay. Obviously, I don't know his mana base. I don't know if he's actually splashing it or just full 3 colors. He has 4 duo lands or whatever. But as a very general rule, I don't like splashing a card like Divination.
Meteor Golem here is enough for Brett to pack it on in. Eric Froelich taking game number 1 pretty quickly over Brett Kroger here in round number 7. Here we go, right into game number 2. Ooh, and there we see, maybe this blue splash was free. Another dual land for Eric Froelich that has blue in it.
Yeah, I think you need, for a 3 mana card, you need a lot of resources for it to be free.
Okay.
And, it's possible Eric just has more blue cards and then is randomly playing a divination. Actually, I think we have his deck list over here.
Okay. We'll take a look. Child of Night is a play for Froelich. Dryad Greenseeker for Kroger.
Yeah, Froelich has Psychic Symbiont and Skyrider Patrol as his other 2 blue cards. Divination is his only single blue card. But he also has a Rupture Spire.
Wow! Respect Groot. Murder on Dryad Greenseeker from Eric here.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. And finally, you see Groot getting some respect. You know, the first match that we covered, we saw someone lightning strike at 3-2.
Yeah.
Instead of Groot with lives at 20.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out for them, I don't think. But yeah, and Froelich has Rupture Spire in one of each dual land.
Okay.
So he has effectively 3 sources, except that, and 2 Elvish Rejuvenators too, which get his blue sources. But, Rupture Spire is far from free.
That's true.
And the tap lands aren't free either. So I don't know how much I actually like this divination.
No green mana yet for Eric Froelich. Ooh. We've got a big giant bear boy for Brett Kroger here. Goreclaw. Terror of Kalsisma hits the table.
Yeah, we actually saw a game where Sam Black played that card, and then next turn he untapped and played like 13 power worth of creatures.
Oh!
It was really, really interesting for
Wow.
him, I guess, not for his opponent.
No.
It was like Vinemare cost 2, and then some Timberwolves cost 2, and then something else.
Yuck. Well, Strangling Spores takes care of it. Colossal Dreadmaw, the follow-up for Brett. Sky Scanner still able to chip in for a point of damage for Eric. Skyrider Patrol on the splash to follow things up here. And here comes the Colossal Dreadmaw lumbering on in for 6 points of damage. Eric Froelich does not care. He was at 26, now back to 20.
Oh, there's a Rupture Spire. Does he have four mana cards he wants to play?
Yeah. Like you said, the cost is not free to play Rupture Spire. Ooh, a Totally Lost from Brett. Phil Thip doesn't know where he is.
I almost feel like he should have just allowed that, and then that would probably have gone to the Child of Night. And he kind of wants to get rid of the Child of Night anyway. I think he cares more about the life gain than the fact that the card costs 4.
So we're able to commit to the board here despite that Totally Lost and despite the Rupture Spire this turn for Eric. Gargoyle Sentinel hits the table, and we're able to pay for the Spire.
That definitely worked for him.
Suspicious Bookcase for Brett is pretty good with a Colossal Dreadmaw if you're in the lead, which he is not.
Yeah, he still should attack here. He's just basically dealing 4 damage by attacking, because his opponent's going to gain 2 on the on the backswing. But
yeah.
Oh, he has Leap and Titanic Growth, so that's a lot of damage.
Ooh, Sleep. Good night, Sweet Princes on Eric Froelich's side of the battlefield. Sleep, very, very powerful magic card. Skyrider Patrol, though, is able to come back after being totally lost. It found its way through the forests of M19.
And I think, is that Gasbark Twins?
Ah, the 7/7, yeah. Mm-hmm. There they are, Gaspark Twins. The Twins hit the table. We are in Minnesota, after all. They can block an additional creature each combat, by the way. Do they have Trample as well? I can't remember.
And yeah, that is just lethal in the air.
Oh, there is the handshake. Eric Froelich making it look simple there. 2-0 over Brett Kroger here in round number 7. So he is a lock for day number 2 here at GP Minneapolis. Thanks for hanging out. Marie Bertoldi, Paulo Vito Damadurosa here in the booth with you as we kind of wind things down here on day 2. Draft coming tomorrow. More Magic coming in just a few minutes. Hi, Eric.
He's happy.